And welcome back to Kings of Influence. I am one half of your hosting team, Ray William Johnson.
Other side of the table, I'm Epic Lloyd, and we're here usually every Wednesdays, and that's today, but this is not a live version. That's why Ray didn't say we're live.
Correct.
We're pre-recording this today because of my workaholic ass. So thanks for being with us here at the Kings of Influence podcast.
Woo.
If you want to get a text from us letting you know when our videos go live or when our live streams go live, you can text the word Kings to the number 43506. Once again, that's the word Kings to 43506, and Ray will send you a little text just letting you know when we're about to go live or when we upload a video, and then you can keep in touch.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I just got off of my, I guess it was a 3.5 day staycation where I stayed at home. And I think the best part about it was that, like, I ate like shit. I didn't work out. Drank.
Oh,
that
you
was
did?
a good time. Yeah.
How much did you? Of course, drinking is always my first question. How much did you imbibe? Is that imbibe? Imbibe.
Not a lot. I had like one drink the first night, same second night, and the third night I guess I didn't drink.
Oh, okay. And that's very
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah, it was fine. I'm like, yeah, no, so maybe I had 3 total, maybe.
So your staycation, the concept of the staycation was you took a break from all of the things that you've been sort of disciplined on.
Yes.
And also you didn't work.
Yes. Yeah, and I did it with Kelly, so we got to enjoy that together.
And it was your anniversary 3 years, correct?
Yes.
So you took 3 days for 3 years.
It wasn't planned that way, but
Right on.
maybe in 20 years we'll take 20 days, like a 3-week vacation.
Oh, dude. I'm trying to work out my life so that I get 2 months off every year. That's what my goal and Josie's goal is for as Rap Battles comes into production again and as things go ahead. There are things that we kind of set as goals like, hey, what do we want to do? And a big thing that we want to do is I would rather work straight through for a really long time and then I get a longer time off. Although data says that that's not the way to do it. Data says that multiple short vacations leaves you more well-rested and happier. So maybe I should rethink it. But we're trying to get it so that we can, like, travel for 2 months out of the year.
It's very European of you.
Well, we're trying to go to Europe.
Ah, that's what it is. Those
Yeah.
bastards get like 4 months off a
I know,
year.
but they're so happy.
It's true.
They're so happy. I'm reading this book called Titan right now, and it's the autobiography of Rockefeller.
Okay.
John D. Rockefeller. And he was the richest man on the planet, but he was such a workaholic. And it's like the only thing that made him happy was like counting money. And I just don't know if I'm that guy.
Like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, or like the Monopoly guy, JP Morgan or whatever. I think like there are some people who get that way, and probably he was on the spectrum on some level. Like everything I can read right now implies that there's something about him that was like spectrum-y. But I need time to enjoy life at this point, Like I have to take time. Like even this to me is like a fun thing. So I'm glad you took the time.
Hey. Yeah, I think look, those guys work their ass off, but I think in order to be that rich, you either have to be born into it or you have to have no life to be that rich.
Yeah. He was definitely not born into it. His dad was a shyster. It's fascinating. His dad was not poor, but it was like early 1800s and like almost like pioneer times. So like they farmed and they built all their own stuff and they pooped outside and stuff. So he worked his way up and had an innate talent for numbers and accounting and detail, and also was like super religious, super religious. A lot of people don't know this, but Rockefeller was like the richest person in the world, but he also like gave away more money than almost anybody else in history.
Yeah, what else are you gonna do?
You don't
money.
have to do that.
That's true.
He was like he was super religious, so it was part of that. So
wait a minute, back up a second. You're reading?
I'm an audiobook. So someone's reading to me.
Okay.
To be
For
fair.
a second, I'm like, wait a minute.
I'm
chose to
trying.
read?
I'm trying, man. I need to feed my brain.
I'm there. I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Audiobooks are cool.
Yeah.
What do you got? Scribd or what are those?
Audible.
Oh, Audible.
And
nice.
if you ever need an online book thing, it works really well. It's nice. I'm doing like carpentry work at my apartment, and I'm like hanging doors and laying tile and sanding things down and stuff. And I just got like a book going. I feel very like I'm feeding both sides of the body.
Is that because you're listening to someone read to you?
Yeah, I'm like my brain, and then also like working with your hands. It's incredibly relaxing.
Well, the other thing I did on my staycation was I got a third cat.
I know. I saw this.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
turning into a crazy cat lady.
Oh, I've been a crazy cat lady, dude.
Yeah, I guess so.
So Kelly and I went to this no-kill shelter, and they don't. First of all, we went to a couple of different ones, and I'm not into the ones that put the cats in cages, because the cats they're just not a good quality of cat.
To put him in a cage, or does it make him a bad cat?
No, it's so here's what happens. The one that I like going to, they put them. There's like a hallway, and in this hallway are a series of rooms that are like the size of a walk-in closet or maybe a bathroom, a small bathroom.
Okay.
Okay. So you have all these little walk-in closets, and in each one they'll put like anywhere from 6 to 8 cats all together, and they'll feed them all together. They've got litter box and all that, and then they'll go in and they'll like what they call socialize them. They have volunteers, so they'll have someone go in, they'll play with the cats, and they'll rub them and they'll pet them. So when you go to visit, you walk in, and these cats, they're used to people just coming in.
Okay.
And so you can play with them. You can see which ones want to cuddle up to you. You can see which ones want to chase the string, and you can really get to know them that way. Some of the shelters we went to, they had like a cat in an individual cage, and there are like rows of them, and there are signs that say don't touch the cages, don't stick your fingers in the cages. And you're just like, well, how the hell am I supposed to know which cat wants to be homies with me?
They should call that a should kill.
Hey-o.
A no kill and a probably gonna kill.
Oh yeah.
That's so sad. So sad.
Yeah. No, but
funny.
But like the cats are miserable. They don't want to be there. They're not used to being touched. So you don't even know if that's like what they want. And so anyway, we went to this place called Lang. It's over on Sepulveda. We went in one of the rooms, and we found this cat, and this cat has six toes on each paw.
Awesome.
It's called a polydactyl. It's a thing.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Heard of that. I would imagine that would give it an advantage, climbing and also hunting.
I mean, one would think it has like 2 thumbs.
Awesome.
Yeah, right?
Fucking awesome.
Which means he kicks ass at any video game.
Yeah, right?
Ever.
Dude, he's going to kick ass at Contra.
I hope so. So
Wow.
we got this guy, and we had to take him home. And the thing is, we already have 2 cats, and one of them's friendly, one of them's not. So the non-friendly one's going to hate this cat for the rest of its life, no matter what.
Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
Okay. The new one.
Yes.
Okay.
Draco Meowfoy is what we call it.
Oh, Ray.
Okay. So we have to introduce Meowfoy to...
Meowfoy's cool.
Yeah. We got to introduce Meowfoy to our other cat, Mr. Kitty. And introducing cats is a whole process.
Yeah.
You got to like stick the new one in a separate room.
Yeah.
You got to like get them to smell under the door.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to take about a week, but I don't think I can wait that long. I think I'm going to wait like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to pull off the curtain.
You can and even introducing cats to a new home too. The cat, we have one cat, and she's cool, but when we brought her to, it's like small spaces first, and then eventually make it wider and wider and wider and wider. So they like explore and feel safe in one room, and then bigger. Now, let me just back up here.
Sure.
You guys have 2 cats already.
Correct.
Why did you, and where did you get this idea? Because you hadn't you wouldn't tell me like, hey, we're thinking about getting another cat. It seems like it was fairly impulsive.
No, it's something we've been talking about for a while. It's because our boy cat, he loves to play. He loves the bitchy cat more than anything. He like cleans her. He wants to, he'll sneak up on her and want to wrestle with her and all this shit. And she is just not having it. She's like, no, I would prefer to be the only cat in this house.
Right.
And so we're sitting there watching this boy cat, who's the sweetest cat in the world, sort of want someone to play with.
Yeah.
In fact, that's how much I like cats. I got a cat for my other cat.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So now the girl cat can be like, fine, you guys just go play, and I will chill here.
Right. And I'll sit here, and I'll let you know when I want you to pet me.
Do you think it's going to work? Did you let the 2 boy cats, like, it feels like they're going to have an easier time meeting.
Yeah. So we're still in the process of them meeting each other. We're at the point where they've seen each other.
Ooh.
And we're like, we're brushing him, and then we're brushing the new cat, and then we're taking that brush and brushing the old cat with it so
Mhm.
that he can smell. We've made him switch rooms,
Cool.
so we put the old cat in where the new cat is, and he was miserable
Oh,
because it was like this territory that just didn't smell like him.
is he gonna pee all over the house? Did
He did.
I mean,
I mean, we put a litter box in there, and he went in there immediately.
yeah. Geez, you guys must have to go through litter like craziness.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I have
Many
one-
bags a week.
Dude, my cat is such a bitch. She's like the best cat, but like the second her shit, like her litter box, like gets too dirty or whatever, she like shits directly outside of it. And just goes, you see what you made me do? And like it's just like so contemptuous, you know?
Sorry, I just got to chime in. I feel like the one main thing that's stopping me from getting a cat is this litter box situation.
It's a deal.
And as two cat daddies, you know,
Never called that, but okay.
you know, cat parents, how do you manage all that litter? Like, do you actually scoop it, or do you have one of those things that like automatically scoops it for you, or what do you do?
You just clean out the box every day.
Every day?
Yeah,
Every day you change it, or do you scoop it every day?
change it.
This is the weirdest conversation. I've
Change.
ever had.
Well, we change it every day because we have more than one cat. If you had one cat, you could probably just scoop it every day or whatever.
Right.
But it's less work than taking your dog out twice a day and following him around with a bag.
But I
A
have
lot
I
less
have a
work.
yard. I have a yard.
Fair.
Yeah, it's just a lot. It's probably, I would have to say that cats, because of cat litter specifically, might be more expensive than dogs.
Maybe.
Maybe, unless you count like vet. I think for the dog is more expensive, like teeth cleaning and things like that.
Yeah.
So when you start to include everything, but that cat litter like element is major.
Some people have indoor-outdoor cats where their cat just goes outside.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really common, actually.
Pete has that. Pete has 2 cats and they just go in and out as they please.
Yeah, and
that's just not our cat.
right. They also don't live as long.
Yeah.
By a long shot.
But maybe they live better.
Maybe. But their lifespan on one of those is like 2 years.
My cat is old. My cat is like 16 years old almost. Like,
Yeah.
she's pretty good.
Yeah. She's
doing
up and about.
pretty good. She's a spry old lass. She's great.
Anyway, clearly we chose the most interesting topic.
I know. Well, no, I'm just wondering, like, well, yeah, that's great. So you guys have, and that's your, like, the 2 cats that you have, those were Kelly's cats first, and then
Yeah,
you
and
sort
then I
of-
adopted them.
You're like the stepdad.
Yes.
Nice. Did you have a ceremony?
No. No, those cats are all over me.
Oh,
I know what I'm doing.
well, that's good. Shout out to all the cat owners out there. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. We're animal lovers here as well.
Yeah. I'm excited. I get to raise this, this polydactyl cat we got. Meowfoy is he's like 10 months old. So not quite a kitten, but old enough to where we could get a sense of his personality before we took him home.
Well, I definitely feel like having an extra thumb has got to be advantageous, especially to a cat.
I don't know.
Like, I mean, if it wasn't, it would go away.
Seems pretty benign.
Like it's just a dangler. Like it's just an extra.
Yeah,
Like it just
yes.
kind
I
of
mean, he's
messes
not catching his own food, so
Right, but does he have control over it, or does it just attach to his other
well,
thumb?
they don't. It's, I mean, as much control. Like he can't open a can of tuna.
No,
It's not. He doesn't have that kind of dexterity.
no, but can he grip? Like, can it help if he had to climb a tree?
Potentially, yeah.
It's awesome. There's people who have like abnormalities where their thumb is split, like 2 thumbs,
Whoa.
kind of like it almost looks like you can't see it. It looks like this almost. There's quite a bit of like hand abnormalities that for humans probably aren't that useful. But if people had 2 thumbs, dude, that would be freaking craziness.
I feel like if I were an X-Man, that would be my power. Is just like, oh, you have a lizard type thumb, a lizard tongue thumb, and I'd be like, damn it, this is the worst mutation ever.
No, I think you would be able to control any feline. You would be like you would have the power to like sort of like Aquaman, but just specifically with cats.
Well, that'd be cool.
that would be freaking cool.
I'd be way into that.
Why isn't there that guy?
Kitties attack, and they would just
Dude.
maul.
If I had I could put together a pretty sick gang of cats, like between tigers and like leopards. There's some killers out there.
Yeah, we'd like walk down the street like a street gang.
Yeah, man. No one would mess with you.
Yeah, I'd love it. Well, let's talk about this thing that's been going around lately. There's a couple of different stories, and they're about a month or 2 old. But there's this this sort of powerlifting association called USA Powerlifting, right?
Okay.
And they have officially banned like trans athletes from powerlifting. from
Uh,
competing.
okay. Okay.
What's their reasoning?
So their reasoning, which is valid, is that a couple of different things. One, a genetically born man is going to have an advantage in
Yes.
powerlifting.
Same like MMA.
Right. So a genetically born man is absolutely going to have an advantage. And two, um, the drugs that you use to transition for either man to woman or woman to
Sure.
man will not get you past the drug test
Sure. So
because
they're not-
it's the same, like it's like the same types of hormones and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. I feel like I mean, first of all, that sounds less like a ban and more like a barrier of entry. If you take these drugs, you're not going to pass these drug tests. So that's less of a ban and more of a barrier of entry. Now, is it making headlines? Are they coming out and saying it in
Yes.
that fashion? They're saying,
Yes,
look,
and they're saying, look, this is why we have to do it. And they did have someone named Mary Gregory compete a while back, and like won 9 out of 9 competitions, literally broke powerlifting world records.
yeah, that's like ridiculous.
And I think that's when people started looking at it, going, wait a minute.
Same thing happened in mixed martial arts. A woman who had transitioned from a man,
To a woman.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember this
was
story.
just beating the shit out of people, and it's dangerous. Like I'm all for transgender, whatever you want to do, but there are some places where you need to have a conversation and be like the military, for example. Like you can be trans in the military, but there are different standards for men and women for the testing.
Yeah.
For physicality testing, and then also there's like, where do you live? Where do you bunk? Where do you shower? Where do you do all of these things? Like, it doesn't have to be hard lines in the sand, but it's definitely a conversation. And if sometimes the answer has to be no, and there's like in this, there's reason for that. It's not really fair. Like you're physically stronger just genetically.
Yeah, I'm less worried about the military because I'm not sort of worried about fairness in the military. Like if you can pass the physical exam, you can pass it.
Sure.
And if you can't,
Yeah.
like if you transition from a woman to a man and you can't pass the men's entry exam, then you're in the same category as every other person who can't pass the male entry
Yeah.
exam, which is just like, well, you didn't pass,
And
so you can't get in.
and why is there difference? Like if there's men and women entries exams, why is there a difference if you're both doing the same things? Or maybe you're just not doing the same things and it's based on the testing.
No, there are different standards for men going in. There's like different amount of push-ups and pull-ups and that kind of stuff. I mean, that
Sure.
at least that's the way I remember it.
Yeah.
And I believe like men are expected to do more. And if a woman comes in and can do that, or if someone comes in and someone transitioning can do that, great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like those situations where it's not about acceptance or not. It's about either safety or, quality, or when someone else's safety is like for example, again, a man, if you're in like the infantry, right? And you need to like pick somebody up and carry them the hell out of there because they're wounded. You need to be strong enough to do that. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You need to just be strong enough to do it. So, geez.
Well, I imagine not everyone in the military is.
Yeah.
But with this powerlifting, I get it.
I mean, I get it.
Like
too.
it sets a terrible headline, but I also get it. I'm like, yeah, they don't. I mean, they let a trans man in who had transition, or a trans woman in who had transitioned from a man, and she broke all kinds of world records, and the other athletes were like, hey, this isn't fair.
Yeah. No, sure.
Question though, because I'm reading an article about this now. They stripped her of her title.
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah.
think that's fair?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
Um,
It should go to someone else.
It's if it wasn't fair and they decided it wasn't fair afterwards, then, and I tell you what, that person, that athlete competing, probably has like they know, like like it's not fair. Like it shouldn't be upon the like. That's shitty. That's why you're competing and you're busting all these records and like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
what they know. I don't know what they know. I absolutely don't think it's fair though.
Yeah. Like, and like, I don't think powerlifting is the hill I'm going to die on. You know
It's
what
true.
I mean? But mixed martial arts, for sure. If you're a man who's transitioned to a woman from a man and you're going in there and you're beating the piss out of women because you're inherently stronger, you're putting people's lives in danger. And that's like, That has nothing to do with acceptance. That's like, you shouldn't be doing that, man. Like, if this is the choice you're making in your life, that is awesome. There may be some things that you have to change and compromise on if this is the way you want to go. And I think that's on you
Mhm.
to do that.
Well, I think part of the issue is that we as a society, we use, the word men, women, male and female to describe what we have defined as two different things, which are gender and sex, right?
Sure.
So gender is something you can sort of identify with. Sex is something that more of something that's biological. It's based on chromosomes, and you're born
Sure.
with it, right?
Sure.
And so when we get to gender and people want to identify as this or that, like I'm not gonna question it. But when it comes to something like the physicality of athletics, well, that has to do with, that has more to do with your XY chromosome
Yeah.
than with what you identify with. And I'm almost at a point where, as okay as I am with all of this, it's like I feel like in some instances there should be some kind of clarification
Yeah.
on some things. I'll give you an example. So I was watching the news the other day, and it was a very left sort of news outlet, and they were sort of talking and stuff, and I'm dissecting what they're
talking and
and I'm dissecting what they're saying, and they're talking about the abortion issue.
In Alabama.
Yeah, in Alabama and Georgia and that stuff. And one of the commentators, not the host, but one of the commentators said, she's talking about abortion, blah, 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 women's rights, and all of these talking points. And then she stops and goes, now remember, it's not only women who can get pregnant. And then she goes on to make her other sort of point that has nothing to do with that. But she made sure to stop and clarify in this conversation that had nothing to do with trans anything, that, hey, not only women can get pregnant.
What does she mean by that?
She's talking about women who transition to men who still have their uterus and identify as a man and get pregnant, which is
Right.
less than 1% of 1% of the population, not to diminish it.
Right.
But I hear that and I go, okay, yeah, you technically you're right on this, but I feel like this is a moment where we need clarification on what you're talking about and on who is who can do what.
Yeah, because you need a hell of a lot more than just a uterus to carry a baby to term safely.
Well, yes,
You
in
know?
general, but also,
And, or maybe they're saying a woman who identifies as a man. Who, like, can you just identify as a man and just keep all your junk?
well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
You can.
I can't get pregnant.
You can.
Sorry, just to I have trans friends. I feel like maybe I can
Sure.
chime in.
Sure.
And I do
Um,
as well.
There are plenty of people on all different parts of the gender spectrum who may have been assigned female at birth, is what they say, and then later on realize that they are something else, whether that's a they, them, or a he, him, or whatever. But there are people who have top surgery, but then they don't do anything with the bottom half.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they leave everything and they are just identified as a man because they don't want to do surgery for whatever reason. It's kind of a personal decision
Sure.
as far as what they're going to do with
Sure.
all that. But
I
yeah,
just think that like there needs to be some sort of generalization in general. I get it's a spectrum.
Mhm.
We have to make decisions for large amounts of people, and it's tough to like focus on less than 1% in general. Especially when you're dealing with laws.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's like we need that's why I'm open to some kind of clarification on some of
Yeah.
this stuff, because we are using the term men and women for two different things. We're using it for gender, and then we're also using it for sex.
Well, how
and,
about
and what
this-
that woman on that commentator was talking about? She was talking about gender,
Yes.
right? But you would
Well-
never stand. You would never. She's talking about what you identify as and that kind of stuff. She's not talking about how you were biologically born. You would never stand in front of a class of school children and say you would never stand in front of them and say, kids, men and women can get pregnant.
Right. Yeah, I would hope not.
Right, because it feels misleading.
And then would you stand in front of a class of children and say, men can decide that they're women?
I mean, yeah, sure,
I would say,
but that conversation needs nuance.
yeah, it needs complexity, and it needs, I think it's timing too. I think you have to understand simple things, and then you understand larger things, and then you just introduce people to these folks that you're talking about, so you have real life connection with I want to say them, but like, so it's not this like crazy distant myth, Like, here's my question though, which I immediately think about. What if someone is a hermaphrodite, which is someone who is biologically has both organs?
Hmm.
Where does that land on the powerlifting scale?
That I don't know.
Like, what do you do with that? Like, that for me is a more legitimate. Like, I bet you those folks, and I should do the research, but I bet you there's a leaning, one way or the other. If you may have both organs, but you lean more one way than the other, or you maybe don't have breasts, or you do, I wonder what you would do in that situation.
Yeah,
Jeez, case by case.
I mean,
case by case.
that's such a unique, specific
Yeah.
case. Like we have a person with sort of multiple genders who is also a power lifter.
Or neither. I've heard that.
Or neither, right.
Neither, where
Non-binary, I think is the term you're looking for.
with no organs at all.
Right.
Oh.
He's talking about biologically.
Oh, biologically?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you mean. Like
Yeah.
someone who literally looks like a Barbie or a Ken doll down there?
Kinda. That does exist.
Huh.
That does exist.
All
yeah.
right. I guess I got to do more research. I didn't know
Um,
that was a thing.
I know there's an adult film actor who is in that situation, and he is like, sometimes he plays the woman, sometimes he plays the man. And I say he just because I'm a dude, and that's what I
Oh,
say.
so he has both.
He has neither. And it's like but he's like super outspoken, super proud, and super like it's exposed people to that situation in a big way. So it's kind of positive.
I'm into that. But if he's how is he an adult film star and has neither?
I was afraid to click on it.
Okay. That's fair.
I don't know. I didn't know if I wanted to see.
Well, that's where I'm at.
Well, I think.
But yeah, this put the trans community and a lot on the left up in arms because of this ban, and I was ready to be like, oh, come on, and then I started reading about it. I'm like, well, they have a solid argument.
What's the argument? Or what's the argument against the ban?
It's discriminatory.
But you're not passing the drugs. You're not passing the drug test.
Sure, but if you could, or I'm sure there's instances where they could lower the drugs.
Right. Yeah.
And some people are trans and not on drugs.
Yeah, it's just not. That's not fair. It's not fair. You have the biological muscle mass of a stronger sex.
Right.
It's just not. It's not like an opinion. It's not like a judgment call on what you're trying to do. It's like a fairness thing, and it's also a safety thing, I think, especially when it comes to combat. So,
Well, it makes me feel. I don't want to be shitty to anyone, but it makes me feel like if you were that dedicated to powerlifting
mm-hmm.
and you had transitioned and they said, "Yeah, look, you can't compete this way," that you'd go, "Okay, then I'll just compete in the men's category." Is that cool?
Exactly.
I'll compete against all these guys.
And that's why I have a little bit of a beef with these folks who are breaking records and breaking people's faces and things. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
100%. Just
You just go, okay,
it's
I'll
not a
compete.
shame thing. It's not like, oh, I don't want to wear this outfit or that thing. It's like, no, this isn't safe. This isn't fair. Compete over here. You might not win, but that's the deal.
Yeah, which I get if you've been fighting your whole life against, your biological gender and they're still like, well, we want you to be in this other category.
Yeah.
I'm sure that feels like absolute garbage, without a doubt.
I'm sure.
But at the same time, it's, USA Powerlifting's job to try and keep things fair.
And I'm sure they're not the most well-spoken association of all time. You know what I'm saying?
Just grunts and
you got information?
Yeah,
I was just okay. I was Googling around for this porn star that you're talking about. Buck Angel was assigned female at birth and then had top surgery and didn't have bottom surgery.
Oh, okay. So that's
So-
what I'm talking about.
Okay, different person.
Could be. Let me
This
see.
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got the like everything looks like a man except for the downstairs plumbing is that of a female from birth.
Okay, so that was surgical. So that wasn't. That's different than what I was maybe thinking.
I don't know. I was just
No.
letting you know that there are genitals there to be used for this.
Yeah.
adult
But I know
thing.
that there are people who are born with both sets of genitals,
Mm-hmm.
and there are people who are born with like not either. Almost. And maybe though it's harder to survive that way. But
I mean, yeah, and there are all kinds of transitions and ways to transition, and
Yeah.
I take the hormone but don't get the surgery, or I take surgery and don't get the hormone, or whatever, and
Yeah.
that's cool. You do you.
I think if you just can't talk in terms of not extremes, like just what's the word I'm looking for? It's not an exact science, especially when it comes to something like that. So for either side to get too up in arms about it without sitting down at the table and having like an honest conversation about it, it's sort of fruitless.
Yeah.
Just sit down and talk about it.
Well, the individual who was stripped of their medals, or their title,
Titles.
was all like, yeah, they're discriminating against me, and this doesn't give me an advantage, and all this other stuff. And it's like,
It clearly does. How were you doing as a male powerlifter?
yeah, I don't.
How
And-
are you doing as a male MMA fighter?
And let me just say, this was a massive woman,
She's huge.
like massive, like
And then
all the way around, think like a bigger version of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, just like big.
So, but she was a man and then went to become a woman.
Correct.
Come on.
Correct.
I can't. Yeah. I don't want to, at the risk of sounding like an asshole. I mean, I don't, come on. Don't,
This was
it's
this
not fair. It's
this
not
is
right.
an individual. If you saw her, you would go, "Oh, that person is a power lifter," because they just looked like just a
Right.
beast of a
Right.
person.
I mean, what's the odd, what's the prize money on powerlifting? Like beer money and a pat on the back? Like is
a
it really-
medal.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Crazy.
I don't know.
Crazy.
But yeah, like I don't want to discriminate against anyone, and nor would I ever. I wouldn't want to be in anyone's position in that fight.
Yeah.
Not the trans individual, not the USA powerlifting, where
Yeah.
they have to go. Yeah, look, we have to legally discriminate against you, because I'm sure that feels like shit.
Well, they're trying to make that. I mean, I think using the word ban is never good in this day and age.
Correct.
So that's probably their first mistake. But I think that it becomes a very sensitive PR thing where you need to pay attention and you can't just talk out your ass, because you know what? For a long time, there's been unfair discrimination,
Right.
like where it's not cool, it's not right, and it's for no other reason other than it scares people and they don't like it.
Uh-huh.
So if you're going to have to say no, you need to take the time to do that right and make people feel like they're being heard.
Yeah, and just to be clear, if there weren't sort of biological differences between men and women in the world of powerlifting, I would say, why not let her win?
Sure.
Like, why not let trans people win? Like,
I'm trying to think of an equivalent, like something where like here's a tangent conversation, but there now girls can be in Boy Scouts.
yes, the Scouts
The Scouts
is what they call it. Yeah,
It's now just the Scouts.
Mhm.
And I imagine that boys can be in Girl Scouts, and it's probably just all one thing.
I don't think boys can be in Girl Scouts. I think it was just the Scouts that weren't integrated.
Okay.
They're not the same company. One sells cookies,
One sell cookies, one burns fires.
but they're not the same organization.
They're not.
No.
How do you feel about girls in Boy Scouts?
I think it's great. I think if that's what that organization wants to do, then I think that's great. I also think just having boys is also fine,
Yeah.
because there is a girl equivalent
Sure.
out there. If there were no other girl equivalent, I would be like, come on, guys, let's integrate. But I'm totally fine with them integrating.
Yeah. What would you feel like? Because there were some places that were like resistant. We're like, no, boys is for boys and girls is for girls.
You mean like the internet?
The internet, yeah. But I would say that those two associations are very different. Like, I can see someone making an argument for their daughter who wants to be in the Boy Scouts, who's like, look, Girl Scouts is fine, but they do different things. Their activities are different.
Maybe, yeah.
Credos are different. They do different things, and my daughter's not interested in that. And there isn't an equivalent of this. That would be a good argument, and I think that's probably what it was. But the argument of it shouldn't just be boys, that is thinner to me. Even though that sounds like harsh to say,
Yeah.
I don't mind if there's separations between boys and girls. From sometimes I think it's probably good to have, like, you have when you're young. It just matters what the content of the activities are and whether they have access to something that's like that or not.
Yeah, and there are plenty of like private schools that are all girls schools and that kind of stuff
Yeah.
that people just sort of accept. Bars have ladies' night. We all accept that.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it makes sense.
I want to get the female perspective. What do you think about it?
Well, two things. One, I found an article that the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts organizations do not get along and have very different opinions about this.
Fair.
So when
They
this happened, this is what the Girl Scouts said about the Boy Scouts starting to allow girls in. They said the Boy Scouts house is on fire. Instead of addressing systemic issues of continuing sexual assault, financial mismanagement, and deficient programming, the Boy Scouts senior management wants to add an accelerant to that house fire by recruiting girls.
Ooh,
Shots fired in a big way.
Yeah.
The Girl Scouts don't even
They're
want the
beefing.
girls. Probably because the Girl Scouts know that their shit's lame and all the girls are going to go into the Boy Scouts.
No, I don't think so. I think that they really value a single gender environment, which I understand because I'm a part of a lot of things that are all female groups, either for comedy or just for support or friendship or whatever. And it is a different environment when there's no men around because you don't feel that same pressure to act a certain way.
But do you think that men should enjoy that same privilege from time to time?
Absolutely. Why not?
Right. I agree, but it comes back to my point of what the activities are. What is the actual product? Because if I was a young boy, I don't want to sell cookies, man. I don't want to go door to door. I want to go canoeing. I want to like throw axes. I want to do all that boy shit. And if there's a girl and she wants to do that, she has no interest in, because I don't know what the Girl Scouts do, but I assume it's not that stuff. If she's more into that, then I'm like, yeah, go for it. You know, but like then you're like, okay, what about a girl who wants to be on the football team in high school?
Yeah, we had that at our high school. They let her on.
Okay,
And she quit a few weeks later.
Yeah.
Because they knocked the fuck out of her.
Right. I think you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, they did. She was the mascot for a long. She wore like the tiger head or maybe it was a rival school. It wasn't our school.
Sure.
But it was a school a few blocks away. But she was a mascot. She wore like tiger's head and all that stuff and danced at the games. And then she decided she wanted to be on the team.
Sure.
And it was sort of a little bit of uproar going around school because they're like, what is she doing? She's gonna get hurt. And she lasted a couple of weeks because these guys. I mean, this was high school, so these guys have been playing for.
It's serious.
Yeah, they had been playing since they were young.
Right.
And this was just her first suit up.
And
they went helmet to helmet, and she just couldn't hang, as most of us probably wouldn't have been able to.
I mean, there's two sides of that coin. I feel this is an odd comparison. I feel the same way about bird scooters. Like if you want to go and risk your life on a bird scooter, that's fine. If you get hurt and you want to risk that, that's fine. But if I crush your brain with my car tire because you're being a moron, I can't unsee that.
That's true.
If I'm a football player and I'm a 17-year-old kid who's 260 pounds and I'm strong as hell and I tackle this person and I kill her because I don't know that she's a girl because why would I? And she's in a helmet. I can't. That's me, man. I can't unsee that. And there's a certain amount of that's a two-way door to some extent in terms of like there's two people involved here, you know? So I'm down. Prove me wrong, man. Like talk me out of it. But that seems like just a dangerous thing. Football in general is dangerous, but
yeah. Well, right now we
tough.
know all about the concussions and all kinds of stuff.
There's just a
so
different.
it seems crazy.
Yeah, there's a different level of power produced.
Yes.
You know.
I mean, I know for me, I rode a bird scooter once, and I will never ride one again.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
I will kill myself on one of those things.
I know. I know. And if you do, that's fine. But like again, if the person that hits you, you know, like that's their nightmare for the rest of their life if they hurt you, right? It would be for me.
Yeah, if you do.
Sure, but I think I don't feel as bad for that person the person who hits the person as I do for the person who's dead. Even if it was their choice.
Sure. Yeah, but like, yeah, I know. Like, kinda. Like, you made the choice to ride like a moron with no helmet on the side of the street when you shouldn't.
The figurative you, not me, because I'm never going on one of
Correct.
those things again.
The figurative Katie did. All right. Yeah. Anyway, we got to move on.
I think it's that
wow.
time. Yeah, we
Good
went way into that.
transition.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're gonna play Stoner Thoughts, your favorite game that we play nearly every week, where we take these random little quotes, usually from the internet, usually shower thoughts, and we riff on them. So let's go.
Stoner Thoughts.
Pain only exists to tell you it shouldn't be there.
Wow.
Ah,
Wow.
right? That's deep.
Wow. Is it true?
Yeah. Pain exists to tell you, hey, stop doing that. Hey, you need to look. You need to pay attention to this, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Your foot's on fire.
Hey,
Run.
But hey, you're giving birth. Stop this.
Yeah, basically.
Hey, you're growing. Growing pains. Stop this.
Ah,
Dude, I got the worst growing pains as a kid. I don't know why, because nothing happened.
yeah, I never grew. I didn't. Growing pains. What's that?
Oh, man.
Stoner Thoughts.
Fewer and fewer kids are gonna know what static on a TV looks like unless they see a video of it.
Oh yeah.
How you gonna know?
That's the tip of the iceberg, man. No. Oh shit.
Of all the things we'll miss,
Yeah.
TV static.
You'll never know. My nieces and nephew will never know what it's like not to see somebody the second they want to see them on like their face. It'll be weird. Like not to make just an audio phone call, or like not to be able to like see somebody right away. That, and especially in 10 years from now, that they'll be like, I can't see them. Holy crap, that's weird. I feel so alone. That's nuts, man. That's nuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Stoner.
Okay. Someday in the future, the moon is gonna have a gift shop that sells tacky moon-related objects.
Oh God, you're so right.
Moon tourism,
Wow. That's so real.
like little pieces of moon rock and
Dude, like I think I used to think like, oh, we'll find a way to inhabit the moon where you can live outside, but it could just be like a giant indoor mall. You know what I mean?
the
Like,
moon mall. Yeah.
Yeah, like you just learn how to pump air, and like you can create oxygen on there. There's not oxygen there from the atmosphere, but you can create the atmosphere, and all of a sudden it'll just be indoor living.
Yeah. Trinkets and posters, and like you'll get your picture taken with Marvin the Martian.
Yeah, it's happening.
Disney will buy in, and there'll be like moon rides and
Dude, it's gonna be the next like rush, like when we learn either to live on. I feel like though our exploration of the moon has waned a lot. Like the 60s, there
there's
was like the
nothing there.
moon race, but nobody really gives a shit anymore. It's more about Mars now.
Yeah, people are really excited about Mars, even though it takes like what, a year or two to get there.
Yeah, it does now, but it won't soon.
yeah, we can't really do much with the moon.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
well, build a mall,
A moon mall.
moon mall. Pretty soon it'll just be like your layover.
Yeah, right.
Got layover on the moon.
At a nude beach, erectile dysfunction is a superpower.
I don't know, man.
I know.
The bodies you see on a nude beach are not boner inspiring, to be honest. with
Yeah,
you.
I've been to some beaches in Europe, and I didn't know they were nude or they were topless or whatever. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's usually like, ugh,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Uh,
all right, you do you, Grandma.
I'll tell you what though, I was on a nude beach once in Greece, and the only thing for me being like would be more uncomfortable being nude in front of a whole beach full of people is being nude and alone on the beach. There was nobody there, so we were like, "What do we do?" So I was like, because we were like in off season or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't come all the way here not to go nude on this beach, so I just full like birthday suited it and swam around in the ocean for a while. But nobody ever showed up. And then if one person did show up, it's not like you can blend into the crowd of nudies. It's just
Right.
you and your baby bits right there on the beach. It was interesting. Had to do it.
Gotta do it at least once.
Thoughts.
We are in the last 2010 summer, and nobody's talking about it. It's the last summer of 2010s.
Oh wow, that's trippy.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
We're about to go into 2020s.
20s. Crikey.
We'll be like back in the 20s.
I know. Back in the what do they call it? The aughts.
Aughts?
Well,
No, the
like
aughts was like 2000 to
and
2009.
then the tens. Is it what do you call it? The tens? The teens?
Teens. Yeah, what do you call it?
I don't know.
The 2010s.
Yeah, but now we're gonna be in the roaring 20s.
I don't call it
Think
anything.
about that.
I try to pretend it doesn't exist.
Better get your flapper dress ready, Lloyd.
I know. Flap it out. It's funny,
Headed for that Great Depression again.
right? Oh my gosh.
Stoner Thoughts.
Someone just decided to paraphrase the sound of snoring into ZZZ, and we all just accepted it. Yeah, what is that all about?
Yeah, Z is not the right sound.
not
It's
a
more of like a
thing.
B, right?
Zzz.
This is a B.
Yeah,
Snore. And there's not even a Z in the word snore.
yeah.
This is ridiculous. Who
What?
started this
Yeah.
lie?
Who comes up with these rules?
Oh my God. You ever meet somebody who snores and then when you tell them they snore, they say, no, I don't? You're like, how would you make that call?
Half the people I meet and I tell them they do a thing, that's annoying. They deny that they do it. No, I don't.
Yeah, I know. That's nuts. I used to tour a lot and like we would share a room and you'd be like, dude, you're snoring. I'd be like, I don't snore, man. You're like, I got proof that you snore, dude. I'm right here. My ears are
Right.
proof. Nuts.
It's like the Trump of deny.
Yeah.
Like it's like the funniest thing about the president is like, Mr. President, what were you thinking when you said this? You said this. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, but we were all here. Nope, I didn't.
Yeah.
We have it on camera. No, I didn't say that. Your wife is standing right here. She is
balls.
also saying that you said it. No, I didn't say it.
I know it, dude. It's craziness.
In our last interview, you admitted you said it. Nope, I didn't.
I know.
That didn't happen. No
So
collusion.
craziness.
I love it.
collusion.
It's funny to me at this point.
It's definitely a colorful window in history.
Yeah.
If anything.
I mean, students, like, in the future, assuming that they're still learning shit, they'll get to, like, the Trump era, and they'll be like, this is very entertaining.
Well, dude, I have to say, like, as weird as this time period seems, there's been awful presidents over and over and over again.
Sure.
Like, I'm reading this biography, and the big thing at that time was the transition from physical to paper money. That was like a big deal. Could you? And like there was politics all around it, and like debating. And
This'll never
lobbying,
catch on.
Yeah, all that kind of
God.
stuff. And there was like, and the idea of credit, like a line of credit, that was like major. Just putting that together, the fact that people would do that, it's something you just take as an everyday thing. Like that's just always how's it been, and it wasn't like that. Those
Yeah.
were big deals. So, and there were villains and heroes in every one of those conversations, and
course.
that's where we are now.
Well, no one will ever buy into paper money. That'll never be a thing.
Dude, and it didn't even last that long.
And now we're moving past
And
that.
now paper money's going away.
Yeah. So, did you hear about the Mount Everest thing? How it's getting crowded?
Mount Everest is getting crowded with all the dead bodies.
With there's basically a human traffic jam up there, where you have to get a license to be able to climb it from the Nepalese,
Okay.
and they're giving out too many licenses because too many people are trying to climb it, and it's like, go look up pictures of it. There's
Just
it's
treks and treks of people.
yeah, it's like lines and lines and lines of people, and more people are dying. Like 10 people have died this season, which is a lot more than other seasons,
Right.
because there's too many people up there, and you're like waiting in line, fucking freezing your ass off.
Yeah. I've definitely heard that this obsession with climbing Mount Everest is getting a little bit out of hand.
Yeah.
And there's also some abuse of the Nepalese going on. Like the Nepalese people are making a lot of money from it.
Yeah,
So good for them. But the Sherpas in general, I mean, it specifically, I think they're called Sherpas.
yeah, they're called Sherpas.
These guys hike up and down like nothing. Like these guys have
Right.
all these trips under their belt, but they are like being overworked, and it's just not the best thing in the world to do over and over and over again. But when there's that kind of money on the line and they don't have any other way to make that kind of money, that's what you do. I mean, it's hard for me to sympathize too much with people that like they know what they're getting into. If it wasn't dangerous, people
They wouldn't do it. Yeah, I'm kind of there too. I feel like it's one of those, like, not that there are fortunate ways to die necessarily, but it's one of those more unfortunate ways to die where I'm like, you didn't even die because you couldn't make it up the hill. You died because you were waiting in a long ass line
And you could have gone to the
and it got too cold.
yeah.
And had not all those people not been there, you probably would have been fine.
I mean, how do you regulate something like that? Like, is
You
it,
don't give out as many permits.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
they
don't make
it
as
didn't
much
used to be that way. I mean, my boyfriend worked for Expedition Unknown, and he went to Everest, and they only like you have to pay a lot of money to be able to be there, and they used to really restrict it to where like they only went there and they weren't allowed to sleep at the base camp. They had to helicopter out. They used to be very strict about it.
And now they're
Maybe
just
they're
taking as
not
much as they
anymore.
can. Well, I mean, one of these days, probably someone's going to come back to the Nepalese government and be like, "This is on you."
Yeah, they're under fire right now
Yeah,
for giving out too many permits.
because it's making a dangerous thing even more dangerous.
Yeah.
11 people died this spring.
Oh,
But did they
Alone.
die at the camp?
I don't know while it was like while they were climbing. I guess.
yeah, they died on the mountain.
Yeah, because if you look at this picture of all the like, it's a freaking conga line.
Yeah, it's
up
crazy.
the mountain. Too many people.
Well, you would think that might make it a little bit more safe, though. You know what I mean? Like you have that many people, you won't get left behind. You won't fall. Maybe
Yeah, but
there's warmth in numbers. You can like cuddle.
You need like individual attention of someone giving you oxygen and food and water.
And,
Right.
and like monitoring your
Imagine
state.
you're climbing up the mountain and the person in front of you is awful,
Just
and they
awful.
slip.
Just awful.
Yeah, and they slip, or you're trying to go around them and you can't get up the way you want to go.
I don't think it's ever. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't think the majority of people who get killed die from slipping. I think it's hypothermia.
Probably.
It's hypothermia and exposure. And then your body just goes into shock, and then the weather, and then you can't get down, and then you just freeze to death.
I imagine. I'm not a mountain climber
Yeah.
at all. I had a buddy of mine back in college take me to one of those indoor climbing things, and I was like, "This is the dumbest shit I've ever done in my life."
It's a lot about breathing actually, because
Yeah.
when you get up to base camp, which is I guess like halfway up the mountain, they make you stay there for a certain amount of time. Like I think 2 weeks before you're allowed to keep going, because if you just climbed it straight up, your lungs wouldn't be able to handle.
Yeah, you have
the
to
air
acclimate
changes.
yourself to the pressure and
The altitude.
And the altitude, yeah. There are people who will do anything, like those wingsuit dive guys, and
Jesus.
these are people who need to drink. Like this is when booze comes in handy. Of like just get your high a different way.
Get your eye from a drug, man.
I know. Well, actually, that wingsuit shit looks incredible, though. Oh my gosh, like
You should try it out. Let us know how it goes.
no, I'm too old. But that ship has sailed. Actually, no. The guys who do it are probably my age because they have the money to do it.
Yeah.
Those are sports that you have to have a lot of money to do. Like you don't want to buy the cheap parachute. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, what's the cheapest parachute you got? Can I get the hey, what's the best price you can give me on this shark cage?
I'm really glad I don't need that to feel fulfilled in my life. Like
Well-
imagine having that personality where like I don't feel anything. I need to go skydive or like risk my life over and over again
Yeah.
to like be able to feel whole.
Well, we do this. We go on stage. We go in front of the cameras. That rush is a rush that
I get it.
there are people who are petrified to go on stage. Petrified.
Yeah.
Like and on any level. Like and that because it comes so natural to me and to you.
Yeah.
It seems very foreign and weird, but that's a real thing.
Well, I'm glad I have this and not that.
Yeah.
I'd much rather
So
have
are your
this.
cats.
Exactly. I'd much rather have this. This is way more marketable.
Yeah, there's no money in wingsuit jumping. Maybe unless you win some sort of award and get sponsored by Red Bull. That's the way to do it.
That's right. Well, that's all the stories I have. We're a little over an hour, so we're
Oh wow, we did.
yeah. No, we did our time.
Well, cool. Again, we're usually live every Wednesday at noon. I had some work to do out of town this week, so these guys were nice enough to come and we recorded this ahead of time. So there won't be a live chat today, but we're here next Wednesday live. So join us on the Kings of Influence YouTube page and subscribe if you haven't already.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching Kings of Influence. I am Ray William Johnson.
I'm Epic Lloyd, and we will see you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Young money, bro. It's the Weezy, baby.
Ooh.